What a time to be alive, guys. Our resident GMFB bracketologist here are going to analyze each conference, starting with the AFC. So we're looking at the bracket here. Which team, GMFB bracketologist, Peter, Nate, and Kyle, who's the favorite of these bunch?
Go ahead, Burleson. Who's your dog?
I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Favorite?
Okay.
It's my favorite.
Okay.
What's all the shock for, Traeger?
There's another team in the AFC that has their number.
All right, guys, I'll let you pick what everybody else is going to pick in the entire world. But I'm going with the Steelers. I feel like even with Antonio Brown, they showed us that they're one of the best teams in the business. That defense is flying around, even without Shazier, and we hope he gets back on his feet sooner than later. But that offense right there, without that man, they still can get the ball to Martavis. We saw him have himself a day. Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't care if he's the youngest guy on the field. He's one of the best players on the field. And Big Ben, I feel like he's in that space where he knows the light at the end of the tunnel is brighter than ever, and I got to go win it now. I'm looking at the Steelers. This is the best Steelers teams I've ever seen in my era of football. I'm with the Pittsburgh.
It's true. They're loaded. What do you got, Peter?
I like the Steelers, obviously. I think in any other year, in any other conference, in any other world, the Steelers would be the favorite. But the New England Patriots are the favorite in the AFC. And they're not only the favorite, they are the overwhelming favorite. They have not only secured the #1 seed and home field advantage throughout, but they happen to own the #2 seed. The Steelers have never had an answer for the Patriots. Mike Tomlin cannot get the best of Bill Belichick. They were up 8 points with 4 minutes left at home and found a way to lose. I don't know how I could put this any simpler. The Patriots are the favorite, not only in the AFC in any other year, but specifically because the Steelers are coming to their building.
They're a factory. They're the classic 1 seed. They're Duke, they're Kansas, they're Kentucky. We all have to be creative in our segments, right, and come up with our own original answers. I'm not doing that here. It's also the Patriots. Just objectively, I'm not celebrating, not going out of my lane. They're 19-5 at home in the playoffs, all right? They have the 5th scoring D. It's sneaky, really good. Here's what's fascinating, though. If the Chiefs and Jaguars both win, the Chiefs play the Patriots, the Jags play the Steelers, both teams that they housed earlier in the season. So it could get a little wild, but for right now, the one is in Foxborough.
Why isn't it the Patriots, in your opinion?
Talent,
what are you seeing with the Patriots? Is it just fatigue, or is it just you think that it's maybe not? I'm not going to call you guys lazy, but it's like lazy, like, oh, the Patriots are always there until they're not.
No, I'm not saying that it's talent, because regardless if there's a familiar name or a guy that we know as a not-so-familiar name on the roster, they're always going to be one of the more better coached teams. But what I am saying that the Steelers team is different more than ever. And they're going to match up on paper. You're going to give the Steelers a nod. And if you look at the game and the matchup they had, even without Antonio Brown, it's one catch rule away from them winning that, decisively winning that game. I get it. They're owned by the Patriots. But if you lose Antonio Brown and you feel like you beat them, the confidence you have, whether you're playing in Foxborough or playing in Heinz Field, has to be an advantage.
That's where I think the difference is. I think if they were playing again in Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game, I would say the Steelers are the favorite. But going through Foxborough, it's got to be.
They didn't have Le'Veon Bell in the playoff game last year. They didn't have Landry Jones in the regular. They didn't have Ben Roethlisberger in the regular season game last year. And you said it. With Antonio Brown, they were still winning that game. And unless some freak circumstances happened, they should have come out with that one. I just feel like in the final minutes, we have a lot of time.
Yeah, Tuesday, Peter.
Favorites in the AFC to me.
All streaks have to
Patriots.
end, though. So
they do.
Yvonne here, our bracketologist, looking at the AFC here. Which team is the Cinderella? Every bracket has to have a Cinderella, right?
Yeah.
Who's likely to go on an unexpected run, Kyle?
You know, I can't stop watching those Buffalo Bills reactions videos. The fans, I would love to say Buffalo is the Ali Faroukman National, Northern Iowa v. Kansas, Bryce Drew. I would love to say Buffalo. But the fact is they've been so bad against New England, just so bad. They haven't even competed this year. They'd have to go to Foxborough. So with that said, I'm going to say Jacksonville. And let me tell you why. I don't think there is a great defense in the AFC. Maybe Pittsburgh before they lost Ryan Shazier. But I think Jacksonville is the closest thing. I think they've had 2 10-sack games. We know the secondary. Kay calls them a Rambo. I think they have the defensive power to maybe make a run. But it's tough to pick. In the NFC, I think there's a lot of Cinderellas. In the AFC, the best I got is Jacksonville.
There was an old player on Gonzaga. I loved his name, Casey Cavalry.
Oh, he dunked like crazy. Flat top white boy. Boom.
There's Harold the Big Show Arsenault. Like Dan Dickau. I love, Cinderella guys and the guys that carry the team. And maybe, Wally Zerbiak's the greatest of all time in Miami, Ohio in that regard. I kind of feel like Derrick Henry could be that guy. This is one of those deals where we're getting to the playoffs, cold weather, just give it to the running back.
Yeah.
Give it to the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
Give it to the big body who's just going to power his way through and carry the team. It's not Mariota to me because I don't think the Titans are going to win through the air and dazzling stuff. But cold weather in Arrowhead, and then if they win that game, maybe they got to go up to New England and Foxborough. I've seen running backs, Ray Rice, right? I've seen other running backs go into Foxborough and take care of it. Derrick Henry could be the Casey Cavalry of this thing. And it's that Cinderella guy that just says, hey, toss it on my back, I'll get us there. The Titans, they are a complete enigma to me. But when they're clicking this season, they've been really good.
Guys, it's the Buffalo Bills. It's the
Talk about
biggest
it. I hope it is.
storyline.
I hope so.
Forget about the date and it being 1999 since they've been in the playoffs. They're averaging 19 points a game. That's last at all the playoff teams. 300 yards a game. That's last amongst the playoff teams. And then the Cinderella story, she drops her slipper, right? The slipper is LaShawn McCoy. He dropped, he's out, he's sitting on the sideline. If they're able to make a run without that glass slipper, which is LaShawn Snowman McCoy, this is the best story of all time. Could you imagine if the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl?
I mean, it's definitely the best story. Cinderella has to be greatly improbable, right? It has to be a crazy long shot. Right. So you got that part right.
They could beat Jacksonville.
Absolutely, they could beat the
Jags. At what point this week do you think the Buffalo Bill fans stop partying and realize that they might not have LaShawn McCoy, if ever? Or do they just enjoy it? You know what I'm saying?
Enjoy it.
Like, there's a lot of fan bases, I could name a few and I'm not going to, that they would lose their star running back going in, even with whatever's happening, and they would be like, oh, we're done. We're toast.
Yeah, you never think that way.
I have not heard one Buffalo Bills fan. No, a lot of fans think like that.
Sure.
I've not heard one Buffalo Bills fan say, we don't have LaShawn McCoy, so we're toast. Everybody's just enjoying the moment, and I respect the heck out of that.
Okay, what is it? Gavin Rosdale. I don't want to come on down from this cloud. I want to just stay up there.
Nobody's even talking about that.
No.
They play at 1 o'clock on Sunday. I think until 12:59 p.m. on Sunday, those Bills fans are going to be partying. This is their week. This is their... And in the game, you see what happens. You could beat Jacksonville. I mean, honestly, I think the Bills could beat Jacksonville. It's not like the Jaguars or the Patriots. And then once the game starts, all gloves are up, and that Bills team is nasty, and they are nasty on defense. And I think they can hang in there. They can fight.
I almost feel like if they lose the game to Jacksonville, they're still they're happy and partying. Part of me really thinks that. I've heard from a couple of Buffalo Bills fans. They're so happy to be in the thing. I love that.
It's called house money. It's a great thing to have. House money.
It's hard to make the playoffs.
Finally here, which rookie player will be the freshman phenom and have the biggest impact? A good tournament always has a freshman phenom. Nate?
I'm going with Jalen Ramsey for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Listen, I love the fact that he can get his hands on the ball, 14 interceptions, 17 PBUs, but
that's crazy.
He's allowing 50% completions towards him. So for me, that is a mark of a great sign that there's going to be some trash talk. So I'm going with this young fella right here. You know, I wanted to go on the offensive side of the ball.
First year in the playoffs.
But I'm going with Jalen Ramsey.
All right, Srakes, who you got?
You know, I always think of that. I hate to bring back to the 90s college hoops, but Mike Bibby took the Arizona Wildcats on his back, said, let's go, 97. And the guy that I'm looking at now is a defensive player, and it's not Marshawn Lattimore in the NFC, who everyone talks about as maybe a defensive player of the year candidate, but it's another first-round cornerback, Tre'Davious White. He made some news when Rob Gronkowski kind of laid into him that way.
Sure.
But this kid had an unbelievable season, gets no press because the Bills are never on national television, and it's usually the 11th crew on CBS calling their game, so you don't see what the Bills are doing. But Trey White, number 27, 6th in the NFL in pass breakups, 2nd among all rookies with interceptions to Lattimore, and he's 9th in the league in completion percentage against. He is a shutdown corner as a rookie. So Marquise Lee going up against him, I give Trey White the advantage.
And if Lee's even out there.
If Lee's even out there, against, any of these guys, Trey White. And then I think if they go and they win, they play the Patriots the next round. It's him and Gronk again, and I feel like we had him on the show, and Trey White was like, Gronk didn't apologize to me. I'm not scared of him.
I'm going to get right in his face.
I'm going to be physical.
And I'm going to be physical.
Yeah.
This is not
Hi, Stephon Gilmore, who they gave away, and I came and they drafted me.
Good point. Great storyline. And this is not some small school guy. This is an LSU corner. And the history of LSU defensive backs, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Mo Claiborne. Like
DBU.
It's DBU. That is what the Green Goblin, Jalen Mills, called it, DBU. And this might be the shining light of all of them. Right. Trey White is my guy to watch.
And why did Gronk blow a microchip? Because Trey White was wearing him out, and he didn't like it. By the way, Peter, Miles Simon carried that Arizona team.
That's
you know
true.
that. Jim Nance. Simon says championship.
That's true.
My guy is very simple. This is when.
What the hell you're talking about?
It's incredible.
Great basketball time.
At the end of this segment, and this is when I would go, guys, that's cute. cute, but I'm not going to do that. Guys, let's just show the tweet of my diaper dandy, baby. There it is. Look at Juju tweeting at the Kim. Come get your boy, King. Stiff army in a Cleveland Brown to own 16. Can you imagine how much the great Dick Vitale would love Juju? Up and away, up in the rafters. This is the guy. Did you even know? He's a kick returner. He is a court jester. He does absolutely everything. And by the way, guys, has he been any good since Antonio Brown got hurt? I'm not sure. What did he do against New England? What did he do in the face of losing to an 0-15 team? Took over Juju Smith-Schuster on a big stage, just going to get bigger. That is my freshman phenom.
You're doing Vitale and you're awesome, but what a shame that the Bills are in the playoffs and Chris Berman is not. Can we get a little Berman here?
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. I miss Boomer. I miss him. It kind of sounds like the Joker a little bit, but it's all right.
We're taking a look now at the NFC side of things. We have our resident GMFB bracketologist, Dr. Kyle Brandt.
Hey.
Dr. Nate Burleson, Dr. Peter Schrager, looking at this bracket. Gentlemen, Schrags, which team is the favorite here?
All right. Typically, you'd go to the highest seed and say the Eagles are the favorite. They just lost 6-0 in a nothing game. They didn't look great against the Raiders. I can't say the Eagles are the favorite right now. If Carson Wentz was in there, different story. The favorite to me is that team up there in negative-degree weather.
Let's look at the weather.
What do you got?
The Minnesota Vikings. I look at the Vikings because, unlike Foles, Keenum has been there since week 3 under center and has been the guy. And there is a comfort. They've won with Keenum. They've won outside with Keenum. They've won indoors with Keenum. They've beaten the Rams with Keenum. They've beaten other teams with Keenum. And I'll tell you, it was a nothing game to a lot of people. But week 16, they go into Lambeau in 1-degree weather, outdoors, and that defense traveled. They suffocated the Packers, and they won 16-0 in a game that a lot of people said, well, it was the Packers without Rodgers.
Yeah.
No. That defense had to go out there in the conditions and do it. And why do I say that mattered? Because they're going to have to go to Philadelphia. And I have full confidence that that defense, Everson Griffin, Linval Joseph, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, can go in there and give Nick Foles fits. I think the favorite, not going to say these guys are winning the NFC, but the favorite going into the playoffs are the Skol Vikes.
Ooh.
Skol Vikes.
It's hard to disagree with you after week 17 what the rest of the NFC looked like.
Nate, give it a shot.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay. All right.
And here's the thing. I know what you're thinking. You're like, Nate, they're a young squad. They got a young coach, a young quarterback, young talent surrounding everybody. But one starting on the defense side of the ball, that Wayfield-led defense is playing well at a very high level. But that guy right there is the main reason why I'm going with the Rams. Todd Gurley, as we know, 19 TDs. You got my guy Cooper Kupp, Watkins, all these different playmakers making plays. Oh, and not to mention, they led the NFL in points per game with just under 30 at 29.9. And what does that mean? If you're going to have to go up against Breeze or Philadelphia, Minnesota, all these teams that can put up points to Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, you got to be able to score points. We're talking about it, and we're going to talk about it up until the Super Bowl. You're going to need to run the ball. But if you can run the ball and throw the rock, I feel like it's going to be the Rams. And on top of that, McVay is somewhat of a genius. You're going to see more wrinkles within this offense than you saw in the regular season. So I'm going with the LA Rams.
All right, so Vikings, Rams. Give me the horn. Give me the horn. Give me the horn. It's the Vikings, guys. They've won. Thank you. They get the horn. They won 11 of 12 games. Right? The only game that they lost was at Carolina. They beat the Falcons. They smacked the Rams. And here's what I feel about the Minnesota. We don't talk about them maybe as much, and I feel the reason why, they just show up and do business. They're not terribly flashy. It's meat and potatoes wins. This past week, we're doing the highlighting against the Bears. We've spent the entire time talking about a gimmick punt return for the Bears instead of what the Vikings did. The first time they played the Bears was the Trubisky unveiling. No, it's the Vikings. They won last week 23-10, sort of just solid, not blowing anyone away, just winning every single week, and I think they'll have all of their games at home because I think Philly will get knocked off. I think it's the Vikings.
Shout out to Tay Train.
Shout out to Tay Train. Had a huge week 17.
Huge game.
Latavius, that's our guy.
Underappreciated storyline. Stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, taking
Surprised
another look
said New Orleans.
at the NFC bracket. Let's take a look here. Which team out of these in this bracket with the NFC is the Cinderella story? Who's likely to go on an unexpected run? Drake.
You know where I'm going, and it's south, and it's not to Atlanta, who I love, but it's to Charlotte.
To Charlotte?
Yeah.
Because they've got someone, and he's had a weird year. I'll be honest. He's had a weird year. It's been up and down. The inconsistencies might have been there on and off the field. Cam Newton has gone from incredible comeback from shoulder surgery to, I can't believe he's playing week 1 against San Francisco, to villain of the world for comments that he made on the podium, to all of a sudden, wait a second, he beat the Patriots in New England. Like, what happened? Cam Newton back up and down and up and down, and then everything that he's been through this entire season. And then here we are, Cam Newton's in the playoffs. They're a 10-6 team, and he's going into New Orleans to a team that has swept him. I would not be shocked if Sunday we're sitting here at 7 o'clock Eastern and it's a tie game late in the Superdome and Cam Newton throws the Panthers on his back and leads the victory. I could make the argument that Cam Newton can could compensate for a lack of a receiving core that other teams have, some injuries up front in the offensive line, and some inconsistencies at the back end of their defense. I think Cam Newton is the great equalizer, and I wouldn't be shocked if he, like Wally Zerbiak in Miami of Ohio, the Maction, threw his team on his back and got his team to the dance.
Doesn't have the exact numbers that Russell Wilson did. Obviously, he had a crazy career year, but the same things that are going on in Seattle, Cam's been dealing with all season. I don't know if it's because he's polarizing or flashy or whatever it is, but Cam deserves a lot of credit for getting his team to where it is in that division with the lack of help.
Right, 100%. Who you got, KB?
Good Cinderella.
It's a great Cinderella. I got a kind of a different one. You mentioned Miami, Ohio, Wally Zerbiak. I'm thinking of an old Cincinnati Bearcats team that lost friend of the show, Kenyon Martin, right before the tournament. It still ended up as a 2 seed. I believe they lost to Tulsa in the round of 32. My Cinderella story in the NFC playoffs is the Philadelphia Eagles, the #1 seed. And answer me this. Did the Saints lose Drew Brees? Did the Falcons lose Matt Ryan? Did the Panthers lose Cam Newton? The Eagles lost the MVP of the NFL and are still going to, I don't care if they're home, I don't care how many games that they've won. I think that if you were to power rank these teams right now, I don't care if this is a hot take, I think of the 6 of them, I think the Eagles are the 6th best team right now headed into the playoffs. They're the 1 seed and the 6th best team. I will be shocked if the Eagles go and just win and get to the Super Bowl. I think they are a Cinderella, and the best story by far, losing the MVP, still in the Super Bowl, that would be it.
Won 3 games without their MVP, which sort of makes it seem like he wasn't the MVP, just saying.
He was pretty amazing when he was out there. And listen, they did win 3 games. Nick Foles was fine. Carson Wentz was special, and you got to be crazy special in these playoffs. The NFC's loaded.
Cincinnati loses Kenyon Martin in the conference tournament, and then Shea Seals in Tulsa blows him right out.
Look at you, Peter.
So, come on.
Wow.
So, do you really think that they're a Cinderella team? Can they make the run, though?
I don't know. I'm already worried about the secondary. They are at home. But listen, you come in there in a team that airs it out. There's a lot of these teams that do it. Carson Wentz was not great. He was special. I keep saying that word. On those 3rd downs when he would make magic, that's why he was winning games. That's why he was blowing them out. Nick Foles, frankly, the season didn't end terribly well, and now we go for 2 weeks without him. I'd much rather have Cam Newton, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, any of those guys, including Case Keenum, who's been starting for months, than Nick Foles right now.
They do have such a great team, though. I wasn't taking anything away from Carson Wentz. But the fact that they've won those 3 games without him, with Nick Foles not playing very well, playing at least inconsistently, because the defense did bounce back. Some of the playmakers, they did step up. So if they've got a shot and they get to be at home the whole time.
Very big advantage.
And you spoke about the Saints not losing Breeze and was it Atlanta not losing Matt Ryan? The Vikings, they did lose their first 2 quarterbacks, but that's not even my Cinderella, though. Just want you to keep that in mind, that
and
they're doing something special in their running back. Good point, Kay. I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons as my Cinderella story. Now, here's the thing. It's been since the 90s Bills that the runner-up has returned back to the Super Bowl. And we're talking the Cinderella story, right? So the evil stepsisters were sitting there saying, you're not going to the ball. You're not going to the ball. You need to stay home and clean up the room, clean up the kitchen, clean up the basement. And all they've been hearing all season, you're not going back to the bowl. You're not going back to the bowl. You got to stay up and clean up that running game, clean up the passing game, clean up all these different things. And we've been talking about the Atlanta Falcons as if they were Cinderella before she realized how beautiful she is. And now all of a sudden they're in the postseason, and I feel like they're there. The fairy godmothers came and put them in front of the mirror and said, no, you guys are beautiful. You guys have Julio. You guys have a running game. Look how you look when you get dressed up and put makeup on. You can steal the show. And that's it right there. Now they are actually in the playoffs, and they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So if they return back after what happened last year and show up and show out, this could be the best Cinderella story of all time.
The offense isn't as good as it was last year, right? So Cinderella 2, that was amazing. That was an incredible.
Bippity boppity boo.
That was incredible.
Defense way better.
The defense is so much better, though. I mean, the defense is better. Deion Jones is better. Keanu Neal's better. And then they added all these different guys. Tack McKinley was a contributor.
Yep.
So I almost feel like they might.
Trufant is back. He was injured in the Super Bowl.
They might be more built for the run this year than they were even last year.
That's a good point.
Different.
They were feeling some kind of way on defense on Sunday. Like they were alive.
Yeah.
It was great. All right, last one, looking at this NFC bracket for now. KB,
Yo.
which NFC team has the best freshman phenom?
All right, well, listen, okay, my eye goes directly to that really, really flashy rookie on the New Orleans Saints. But the one on defense. I'm talking about Marshawn Lattimore, and if I'm thinking about a freshman phenom from the Ohio State University, I'm thinking about, Greg Oden, Michael Redd. This guy's been incredible. We get a lot of attention to Ingram and Kamara, and we've talked about this guy a lot on the show. He intercepted a ball with his rear end. He takes on the number one. There he's against Brandon Cooks. He's going against Julio Jones. I think this is a big stage type of player, and they're going to need it because they're going to be going after that secondary. I think Lattimore, look at it, he's on Mike Evans. Every video we pull up of him, he is against the number one making a play. It speaks for itself.
I'm going with the opposite side of the ball, and the guy that you teased us with, Alvin Kamara.
Got to.
To me, he is the most valuable player on this team. Drew Brees is the most important. I might say the heart of that offense could be Mark Ingram, but when it comes to pure playmaking ability, he did this so casually this past weekend. He's jogging 40 yards away from the end zone. Can you imagine when he's healthy, Mark Ingram giving Drew Brees the ability to go into a game and not have to throw his shoulder out just to keep his team in contention? I'm going with Alvin Kamara. He is my freshman phenom.
Two Saints, Peter. You got Ryan Ramczyk.
Yeah, honestly, you can make the argument. Yes. You can make the argument Ryan Ramczyk or Marcus Williams, their safety, who had two interceptions against the Bucs. But I'm going to go with the guy that I fell in love with at the Senior Bowl last year in Mobile, Alabama, and then I fell even more in love with him in the Combine, and then I fell even more in love with him at the draft, and then I fell in love with him again in training camp. My man, Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp, this is when Cooper Kupp has his Cooper Kupp moment. Saturday night, under the lights, entire country watching, taking on the Atlanta Falcons, defending NFC champions. And who is Jared Goff going to be focusing on in those moments of need? My man, Cooper Kupp. Listen, I went so big on Cooper Kupp this offseason. I've been hearing tweets making fun of me because, oh my God, he's not going to have 100 catches. He's not going to have even 70 catches. Cooper Kupp finished the season with 62 receptions, 870 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He was second among all rookies with 869 receiving yards. Only Juju had more. And he finished 24th in the league overall in receiving yards.
Bust.
Third-round pick out of Eastern Washington.
Incredible.
Cooper Kupp is pretty darn good.
200-yard games. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. He's heating up even as the season goes on.
He's getting better and better. And I'm telling you this, Saturday night, NBC, we've got all these huge stars and Gurley and Goff and Matt Ryan and Julio and Devontae. It might be the Cooper Kupp experience. I cannot wait to see him under the lights, and I think he's going to finally prove all of us believers right that this was the man coming into the season, and he's the man to get the Rams over the top.
Love that. We're looking at the playoff brackets, of course. A big week of games Saturday and Sunday, full of action here in the postseason.